Hi, I'm Brian Dunn, and welcome to the most important podcast ever. What makes it so important? It's not about me, it's about you. This podcast is about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, the moments of resilience, the lessons learned, and the small acts that made a big difference. From retail floors to boardrooms, we'll share the untold stories that shape lives and careers. This week, our guest is Heidi Pearce. Heidi is one of my all time favorite people I've worked with. In fact, scratch to work with. She's one of my all time favorite people. Heidi traveled with me. She was on our communications team, and she must have been to 100 town halls around the country where we would meet with our store managers and some line level employees and get a sense of what was really happening in their world. One of the things that always struck me about Heidi was the profound empathy she felt for everyone she interacted with, the sincerity of her concern and interactions, and her deep and profound love for her dog Trooper, rest in peace, because I share that same passion. So, with that, I want to turn it over. And Heidi, thanks for being here. And could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hey Brian. I am so excited to be with you, and just thank you for having me on the pod. I'm honored to be here. I really
Awesome.
am.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
So
maybe you can give us a little sense of what your career has been.
sure. So I have been a communicator pretty much all of my professional life. Interestingly enough, I walked into college thinking I was going to be an athletic trainer and walked out with a journalism degree. Not sure how that happened, but it happened. And so I first started out uh, at the University of Wisconsin doing sports information, which is largely media relations for sports teams for the college teams. And then had the great privilege of working at Best Buy for probably about 15 years, and learned so much. And then I have spent the last 10 at Cracker Barrel. So
Okay.
doing a lot of communications kind of along the way. I say often that, I grew up in Michigan, but I professionally grew up in Minnesota with Best Buy. And man, it was just some of the best times of my life.
That's cool. And as far as going into school to become a trainer and leaving a journalist, it's because you're a great writer, a great listener, and you have such empathy for your audience. So I think you ended up exactly where you need to. Um, I'm really interested about, so it was Wisconsin, Best Buy, Wisconsin. Were there things that you pulled from your commercial experience that made a difference when you went back to Wisconsin to the athletic department?
Boy, the athletic department um, really taught me a lot. It was my first job out of college. So I'll just say this, that when I went to the University of Wisconsin, so I graduated from Central Michigan University. Uh, and at that point, that's when I found out that, hey, you could actually get paid to write about sports and to travel with sports teams. And I thought, man, what have I found? Like, this is awesome.
Right.
I'm a sports junkie, right? And so I thought, wait, you're going to pay me to go travel with teams, and I get to watch sports for a living. I thought I had hit the jackpot, and it
For
was great.
sure.
It was great just out of college. The first couple years, I think I did it for about 4 years, and then it hit me that, well, I have some bills to pay, and this may not be the long-term career if I want to actually retire at any point in my life. So that's really what made me then go into the corporate world, and that was, again, I had the good fortune of being part of the Best Buy team. So that I took so many great lessons from that, from my time at Wisconsin. Uh, but it was really all about people, right? That was the thing that I think I kind of thread through everything is how do you be curious about people and listen to people and make them feel valued.
Can I tell you something that I used to use you for all the time? After we do a town hall, I would look at your face, and before you had a chance to fix it, I'd know if it had been good or so-so, because we certainly didn't have any bad town halls, because how can it be bad? But for a minute, I could always look at you and I could always tell if it had been good or so-so.
Yeah, I will say this. I get that feedback, actually, a version of that feedback a lot. Like, no one, actually, everyone wants to play poker with me, but I don't allow myself to ever play poker because I will lose all of my money.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a wonderful gift. As part of the team, you definitely brought that. So you find out, hey, I'm going to have to pay these student loans back, so I'm going to have to make a little more money. You move into the commercial or the business world. Was that a tough adjustment?
It was a little bit, and mostly it was because of something innate in me of thinking that I had this dream of wanting to be, in the sports world, because again, I was just such a big sports fan, and I thought, boy, this career could be really something great. But I think when I realized, like, hey, wait, you can still take some of the essence of what you learned along the way, and then pull it into into a corporation and find your way there. That was a big piece of just trying to figure out how do you take what you've learned along the way and just moving it forward.
Did you find similarities in the sports world and the business world?
Yeah, actually, amongst leaders, interestingly enough, right? So again, I had the great privilege of working with you and a lot of other leaders at Best Buy. I think of like the Tim McGeehan's and the Scores, and I could go on and on.
Yep.
But oftentimes I think about when I worked with coaches at the University of Wisconsin, right? So I did a lot with coaches of teams, of helping them prepare for media interviews, helping them, just listening to them as they talk about their teams and their players. And sometimes it wasn't even about the job; it was just being there for them. And so
Right.
I found a lot of similarities of how do you just listen to people and be there for them and give them some honest feedback and just be a trusted source. Try to be a trusted source.
I'm always a little envious of the sports world. I too am a fanatic about it, as you know. But your wins and losses are defined so immediately. And when something's not going right, boy, you lose 3 in a row, you've got a pattern,
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
So you were there in the Barry Alvarez years, is that right?
I was there when actually Wisconsin won a Big Ten football championship. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
awesome.
I'll never forget this as long as I live. So I'm in the press box, and it's the last game of the regular season. And if Wisconsin wins this game, they win the Big Ten. Like, this is before before you had the playoffs, the Big Ten
Right.
playoffs and the championships and all that. But if they won this game, they win the Big Ten. And it's at home. It's in Madison, which is an amazing town. Love Madison. And it was clear that the Badgers were going to win. And I can still to this day can remember the press box just swaying because the crowd was just so raucous. And it was such a cool environment to be in. But I was like, at one point, I'm like, is this press box going to crash? Am I going to? I'm like, this is cool, but boy, it'd be cool if it stops swinging.
It would be cool if this wasn't my last thing.
Yeah, right. But that was one of those memories that I will not soon forget.
So you make the transition from college to business
Yeah.
and then back to college. What brought you back?
Actually, so I did not go back to,
Oh,
just to be clear. So I went from after Best Buy, I actually then went to Cracker Barrel.
okay. So it was a direct. Well, well, that ruins the whole podcast. So you went from, I got you. So your path was not back to Wisconsin, but in fact, right to Cracker Barrel.
Well, there was a little bit of time. There was about a 9-month period where I just enjoyed myself and did not do a darn thing.
Well, good for you. What did you do during that time?
I spent a lot of time with my mom, actually, which ended up being exactly where I was supposed to be. So I kind of walked away from Best Buy. I just felt like I had given everything I had to give, and said, "It's been great, but I need to find my next thing." And they were wonderful. But then in that about a 9-month span, I just kind of relaxed and tried to recharge and spend time with the people that I love the most. And my mom was at the top of that list.
Yeah, you guys were super close. I remember hearing so many stories on flights home from you about
Yeah.
things with your mom and vacations and all that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. She was a wonderful woman.
She must have been because her daughter is a magnificent person. I My mom died about 5 years ago, and I used to talk to her every single day. I still reach for the phone and then remember, but and it's always a little poignant, but I can so connected to her. I know what she would have said. I know what she would have, the joke she would have made, and I find it very comforting.
Yeah.
Very
I
comforting.
yeah. Yeah. I think, that's also one of the things that you and we would often talk about, is that connection to our
Yeah,
moms. I
yeah,
was Not everyone has the good fortune of having that. And so again, I would always find myself blessed that I had that
yeah,
relationship with my mom. And then
yep,
she passed. Yeah, it's tough. It was really tough. But again, like you, I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of my mom, and
yep,
I know what she would tell me. Like, I know.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. Nobody ever loves you like your mom does.
Yeah.
There's just
Isn't that
no two
true?
ways about that.
Yeah.
I I saw an interesting thing about grief where they talk about the woman who was talking was she had a very difficult story, and in fact, I'll link it. I'll link her talk, her TED talk, to this broadcast, and she talks about we don't move on from our grief, we move forward, and we keep moving in life, but we bring the things that are precious with us. So
Yeah.
while your mom's not here in this realm any longer, I'm sure she's inside you every step.
Yeah. Yeah. She's with me. I'd love to see that. I would love to see that.
I will.
That TED
It's one of
talk.
my. I look at it frequently.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me, now that I've recovered from my shock that you didn't go back to the University of Wisconsin, and that's 100% on me, as you made this switch from uh, Wisconsin, Best Buy, some time with your mom. And by the way, you mentioned that it turns out that it was very fortuitous you had that time. Isn't it interesting how that works out? Isn't it interesting how things happen for a reason and you find yourself right exactly where you're supposed to be? It certainly
Isn't
has
that,
been my experience.
I agree wholeheartedly. There's, yeah, I don't know if we'll get to it today, but boy, yeah, I have so many examples of where that has come to bear, and I'm like, boy, I just believe that to my core.
Would you like to share one now?
Sure. Yeah. So it was. I'll just share this story that as part of the Cracker Barrel team, I was asked one day, so I'm living in Nashville, right? That is where the Cracker Barrel headquarters are at. And I was asked, hey, can you just head down to Florida real quick? Like, and it was at a pretty last minute, like within, call it 48 hours, someone said to me, a coworker, hey, I need you to just go on down to Florida and oversee a video shoot. I didn't know any of the players. I didn't know what I didn't know what the story was about. But I was like, yeah, sure, I'll head down there. So pretty short order, I get myself down to Florida, get to this store, and proceed to hear this manager who she tells this story to the video crew, starts to tell this story about how one day she's in a dining room and she sees a car along the highway pull off. And she could see the woman in the car come out, and she could tell that she was in distress. She's waving her hands, and the manager is seeing this from inside the restaurant. She's like, I know something was wrong. I don't know what was wrong, but I knew something was wrong. So she proceeds to sprint through the restaurant, and while she's running through the restaurant, she tells the retail folks on her way out, hey, just call 911. So manager gets outside, scales a pretty sizable barbed wire fence to get to this woman who's in distress, who's on the other side of the fence and by the highway. So gets to the woman and then sees that the woman's adult son is unconscious in the car. And there is nothing else around this Cracker Barrel. Like it's out in the middle of nowhere. And so this manager pulls the adult son out of the vehicle and starts performing CPR. And after a couple minutes, she revives him. And at that point, the ambulance shows up. They put him in the ambulance, and off he goes to the hospital. And the manager just kind of just casually goes back to work at that point. So this is the story that this manager then shares with the video crew. And fortuitously, little did I know that day that she is now my partner. She is a great love of my life. And we've been together for, 4 years. And so talk about things happening for a reason.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. It was quite amazing. And
That's amazing. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. What a great origin story for your relationship.
It really is, and it's funny in that particular moment, right? That story that she told, that video actually never saw the light of day. It's a little behind the scenes thing. That video itself never saw the light of day because the crew actually, to me, had the wrong angle. What they were doing on that day was they were starting to tell the athleticism of the manager, right? Of her scaling the fence, and that she does obstacle course races and all of these things. And again, I'm thinking, wait a minute, whoa, we need to hear from the mom who's talking about the stranger who saved her son's life. Like, wait a minute. So long story short, I get back to Nashville and I say to a few people, we need to tell a different story here. So I found a new video crew, actually our own Emily Peterson Boone, right?
Very talented. Very talented.
Love her. So I hired her and her team, and we told that story, and then we told a number of other stories following that. So, of course, Emily and her team did an incredible job telling what I believe is the right story of, hearing from a mother who was just so grateful that someone saved her son's life.
Yeah. And the athleticism involved is amazing, but maybe that's the B plot line.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yes.
Oh
Indeed.
My gosh.
Indeed. But yeah. So that was you talk about things happening for a reason. Like there was no reason for me to be in Florida. There was, this was not telling those stories in that format, that was not my primary role at that point. So
Think about all the things that had to happen. The mom had to find Cracker Barrel.
that's right.
Your partner had to make that bold, heroic run and do all those things. And then somebody had to say, hey, Heidi, why don't you get on down to, would you mind getting down to Florida? That's just the synchronization of all of that is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Just amazing. The serendipity of it, I guess.
Yeah. And that we understand that and we appreciate that quite often we talk about it.
Oh, well, I think that's really cool. Really, really cool. I'd like to tell you a story like that for me, but I don't have one because that is incredible. Just incredible. So are you finding good energy outside of your professional career?
Yes. I mean, so my partner's name is Ashton. And yeah, I certainly am. I will say though, living in Tampa, living in Florida as a Midwesterner, it's a little bit of a transition. It's very hot here in the summer, man.
And it's very cold here in the winter.
It's true.
Every form of refuge has its price, as the Eagles wrote.
That's right.
For sure.
Yes, I feel as if I've had both ends of the spectrum when it comes to the seasons and weather. So,
How long have you been in Tampa?
Gosh, it's been a little over 3 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So soon after Ashton and I met and we knew that we had something special, she actually came to live in Nashville for about a year. And she said, you'll appreciate this. After about a year, she said, yeah, it's too cold here.
So she's a great athlete and she's a lovely person, but she's weather soft.
That's right. Couldn't be more weather soft. And I said, oh, pumpkin, I'll show you some cold. Like, come on.
My son, William, lives in Houston, as you know, and he came back. He works for the Houston Rockets. He's a coach for the Houston Rockets, and they're playing the Timberwolves. And when he comes up to play the Wolves, I usually get to see him for a lunch or a dinner or something. And it was real cold. It was January. And he said, Dad, it's so cold. How do you stand it? And I said, kid, you were raised here. And he's like, it's not inhabitable. So I think you can lose those genes for sure.
Yeah, how quickly you adapt.
So then you, being a good partner, said, okay, let's go to Tampa.
I did. Yeah. So, and she has a 19-year-old daughter who she is just fantastic. So she actually lives with us. And so we came to Florida and I was like, well, why not? Let's try it.
That's great.
And so her daughter lives with us, goes to the University of South Florida. And yeah, every year, every summer, I'm like, oh my goodness, it is so hot here. I don't know that I'm built for Florida, but I will make do. I will figure it out.
You guys come up here and visit us in the summer. It's awfully nice up here.
That's
Who
right.
Did I hear barking in the background?
That is little Baxter. So Baxter, I tell you, we've got a little zoo here. So I apologize if all of a sudden someone makes it onto the camera, because I think probably I won't be shocked if they do. But I've got Baxter, who is about 7 years old, and he is my little rescue dog. And then we've got 3 cats that are also rescues. So it's quite the zoo here in this house. You just never know what you're going to get.
It's awesome. It's awesome. There's nothing like the unconditional love of a great pet, for sure.
Yeah, we know that both very well. Yeah, I'm Trooper was my boy. He was the original.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I still grieve for all my dogs I've lost. And if you're not a dog person, you don't get it. So it's okay. Yeah. So in the time we have left, Heidi, what's ahead? What's next for you?
We'll see. We'll see. I am always open. I am always open to just exploring what's next and what's on the horizon. And uh, I will say that I love to paddleboard now. Uh, I, being so close to the ocean has its advantages. Well, again, it's a little warm here. The upside is that you have, boy, within an hour, I can make it to so many beaches. And
Yeah.
we actually love to paddleboard and find ourselves paddleboarding any chance we get. So,
As I remember, you loved beach vacations. You used to talk about that a lot.
I sure did. My mom and I would go at least once a year. And it was our time to get together
That's
and
nice.
just reconnect. So, yeah, I
That's
think I've
nice.
always had kind of that tropical vibe in me. And again, now that I'm here and so close to the ocean, I'm like, this is where I think I'm meant to be.
I think and what better feeling is there than that, to be where you're supposed to be? Um, do you write anymore? Do you like to write?
I do. I do. I write a lot for work. And I have found that I'm also, over the years, I continue to be kind of the go-to for my friends and what's left of my family. My friends and family, they'll come to me and be like, "Hey, can you help me write this thing? Like whatever it is, fill in the blank."
Yeah.
But yes, I still like to write, and I think it's just something that has come natural to me.
Yeah.
But it's hard, right? It's a hard thing because you have this self doubt that always creeps in anytime that you put pen to paper. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
I love to write these essays, and it takes me a long time because the next day when I look at what I've written, I hate every single word. And it's such a exercise in self-loathing. I remember we all used to talk about that quite a bit. But
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the life of a writer, the self-loathing for sure. But you are a fantastic writer. In fact, I saw what you posted just a few days ago, and I thought it was just beautifully written.
well,
Honestly,
coming from you, that's a huge compliment. But I'll just say this. I still hated it. It's just what it is. Hey, I am so grateful you took time to talk to us today. I'm so happy that you're happy, Heidi. You are one of those people that just radiates goodness, and everyone you interact with is better for it. And I always felt that every time we traveled, I was so grateful that I got the chance to work for you. You made me a better leader and you made me a better person, Heidi, and I'm super grateful for it.
that means so much to me, Brian. Like you do not know how much that means to me. So I
Well,
appreciate you and
I I'm very happy for you. I'm happy for Ashton. I love that origin story. I think we should make a movie about it. I think that'd be good. So don't sign any contracts till I get down there. And I really hope I get to meet you, see you, and meet her. But I thank you so much, and I appreciate you, Heidi. Take good care.
all right. Thank you so much, Brian. It's great to
Thank
talk with
you.
you.
So that's it for the most important podcast ever. A huge thanks to Heidi Pearce for sharing her story, and an even bigger thanks to you for tuning in and watching and listening. If you enjoyed the conversation, please share it with someone who might find it meaningful. You can watch and listen on our YouTube channel and everywhere where you get your podcasts. I want to thank the great team here at Streetside Studio 7 inside the Deja Blue House of Coffee in beautiful downtown Alexandria, where the summers are gorgeous and the winters are what they are. That's it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.